Let us drain our cups to these three strong bastards!
When you look at the dragons, what do you see?
When dragons flew to war, everything burned. I do not wish to rule over a kingdom of ash and bone.
Aegon Targaryen sits the Iron Throne.
The crown cannot stand strong if the House of the Dragon remains divided.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
The princess has a dragon, you dumb cunt.
Have your tongue for that.
He can keep his tongue. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
Caraxes!
Welcome back. My name is Kit.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, streaming House of the Dragon.
That's true. It very much is House of the Dragon.
I am
streaming.
Kit Laser, first of my name.
Second of your names.
Yes, second of my name. By the way.
Clapper of cheeks.
Two things I want to address right off top. Welcome to the show. If you've never listened before, it's fucking amazing. You're about to have the time of your life. Andy, still on vacation. Actually, on vacation for the first time you're hearing. We recorded our Game of Thrones coverage for Wednesday first.
Yeah, but he's on vacation. But, you know, thankfully, we've got someone to replace him today.
Erica, who most of you know and love, is here to fill in.
I was really close by. The couch.
We sent a Raven, and it took her a fortnight to ride.
Yes.
She damn near killed her horse on the way getting here in time.
She had to switch mounts on the way.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded hot.
I'm switching my mount. Switching mounts.
Hold. I'm switching my mount.
This just went from hot D to hot D.
Hot D. HAWTD. But I also want to address something. I've been getting lots of direct messages and emails from, so a lot of our listeners that are back for House of the Dragon haven't been with us since House of the Dragon season 1, which we knew would happen. That's fine. It's fair. It's a little fucked up, but I get it. But which means they had no idea my name was now Kit Laser. So they're like,
what?
Oh, what the fuck? And it's such a long story. I'm not going to retell it. All you need to know is it was a joke and now it's not.
And he's leaning in. It got out of hand.
Yes.
It's now on his birth certificate, his voting records, his passport.
Yes.
Yeah.
I committed to a bit that is now not a bit. You know what I'm saying?
It's Chris's twin, Kit.
Yeah, it's Eric and Eric, Chris and Kit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one's which?
We don't know.
They're both bald.
Yes.
They both wear A24 hats.
They do?
Yeah.
Different A24 hats, but very similar. So anyway, those are the two things right off the top. But we're going to be talking about House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2 today. And a few things I want to note as well, again, right after the name change and the Erica thing. We are watching this on a screener.
Yeah.
So I don't know if when it airs tonight, you guys will have like after the show commentary from Ryan Condal or Claire Kilner. And we might be arguing over if it's Eric or Eric and all kinds of things that you know for sure.
And I'm Eric.
We don't have anything like that. I don't know if you're going to get that, but we don't have that. So we don't typically watch those before we record anyway. We like all of this to be our fresh thoughts, but just so I don't want you guys to be like, how are they arguing over if it's Eric or Eric when that was discussed in the after the show breakdown by Claire? You know, we don't have any of that. So just wanted to throw that out there just in case.
We are raw dogging it, as they say.
Yes, that's how they say it in Westeros. The dog is raw.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys didn't tell me that before I rode all the way over here.
When you changed mounts, you didn't know we'd be raw dogging it?
No, I did not.
No. Oh, well, surprise.
Now you know. Lucky.
Oh, God.
This episode was directed by Claire Kilner. A long episode. It was reported that it would be 72 minutes. The screener said 69 minutes. Nice. I'm not really sure what to make of that, but what we're going to do is talk about our overall thoughts on the episode, and then we'll talk about a recap, a scene-by-scene, play-by-play, deep dive, and then we'll end it all with not our lives, but the episode with our Valyrian Steels segment, our top 3 favorite moments of the episode, our Dragon Eggs segment, any kind of deep lore that doesn't spoil anything, book references, or behind the scenes stuff that we can pull out. And then our Mummer's Dragon, our favorite performance of the episode. And then I think, like our Game of Thrones Patreon only coverage, we'll do a Westerospection, a book spoiler filled talk because there are some particular things introduced in this episode that I think, fans of the book will want to discuss. So we're going to add that at the end of this episode.
Yeah, there will be spoilers abound in that section. So
we'll warn you way in advance.
Yeah, we'll warn you. Book spoilers, not show spoilers.
Yeah, so that's how it's going to go. But first, notice Steve and I are doing our Eric and Eric impression. We're wearing the same shirt. It's a big red noodly boy Streaming Things merch shirt that is available now at the link in our merch store. If you want to purchase that, I recommend it. It's very nice.
It's been a long time coming to get a big red noodly boy shirt. We finally got one. Go order it now. I love these shirts. Anytime I can rep the big red noodly boy.
So comfy too.
It is. These actually are like very comfy
honestly,
shirts.
And they make me feel, I feel kind of sexy.
Well, you look definitely sexy.
I'm feeling like it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like Allison Hightower riding cowgirl.
You're not even going to stop if a family member breaks in.
Not a little bit.
You're just going to be like, oh, hey, daughter, let me finish up.
I'm not going to pump the brakes at all on my Criston Cole pole in this shirt.
My grandkid's dead. Hold that thought.
See what I'm saying?
I mean, I just hope I can tell you two apart after this.
Well.
They're going to call me Allison's Eiffel Tower after this.
God, be good.
Don't make me say it, Your Grace.
I don't want to hear it, Your Grace.
Don't make me do it, Your Grace.
Was that what she was about to confess to Otto? Like, Otto, I've sinned. Oh, did you do the Eiffel Tower?
That's not our namesake. I don't want to hear about it. Any hoozle. That brings us to our coverage, I think. You can email the show, as many of you had, at streamingthingspod@gmail.com.
Yes.
And you can support the show, but not for nothing, at patreon.com/streamingthings.
There you go.
You get ad-free episodes,
Boom.
access to our Discord.
Hell yeah.
Early drops on merch.
Yep.
The hottest ticket item right now these days is our Game of Thrones rewatch and reread that's happening every Wednesday.
Yeah, this Wednesday is episode 6 of season 1 dropping on Patreon.
A Golden Crown. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen on Wednesday. And we get 2 extra episodes dropping for patrons soon as well. A Jaws deep dive and then a mystery episode that will be revealed soon.
Mm-hmm. Excited.
It's a movie from the 90s. I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh. A lot of moving parts going on here.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Was that a Big Lebowski reference? Accidentally?
Unintentionally.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Give us the money, Lebowski. We cut off your Johnson.
Get a beverage, man. Okay, let's get into our overall thoughts. Erica, let's start with you.
All right.
As a relative newbie to the Dragonverse, I would say, how did you feel about episode 2?
Tell us about your newcomeriness to Hot D as well.
So I just finished the full season 1 yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had only seen episodes 9 and 10 of season 1, and then I saw episode 1 of season 2.
It made me throw up in my mouth a little bit.
But I mean, I loved it. It's very easy to get into the drama of it. I'll be honest. It does feel a little bit like fantasy daytime television show.
Like a soap opera?
Like a soap opera,
like
I guess.
Fantasy Dawson's Creek?
Yeah. It does feel a little soap opera-y, but it's better. It's, I think it's more insightful. It's more intelligent. I like how intelligent it is. This episode specifically was really dark, but at the same time, I think really fun. And I'll wait until we go through the recap, but I really enjoyed this episode and I can't wait to see where we go next.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Steve.
I also really enjoyed this episode. There were some really great, not necessarily one-on-one scenes, but scenes of just characters let's come in and let's just act the shit out of some dialogue. And there were 3 or 4 of those scenes that were wonderful. And, that's always my favorite part of Game of Thrones or Hot D is just let actors read great dialogue and let them cook. That's when the show is at its best. But the show has also given you some really, really great little asides, visual treats. I got to see my big red noodly boy. So right there, episode's got a leg up on most. Anytime I see Caraxes, my heart just grows a little bit bigger, Caraxes, as Andy would say. And, but then also you get the showdown between Eric and Eric. And, that's something as a book reader, you're just kind of like, man, I can't wait to see that. I was honestly a little surprised to see it this soon. Although I shouldn't be, because that's an event that happens pretty early on in the Dance of Dragons. But I was still kind of like, oh, we're already here. Oh, okay, it's happening. I'm ready for it. Which one's Eric? Which one's Arik? And then also, I mean, I really like the visual stylings of the funeral procession for Jaehaerys, the way it sort of focused on Helena. And I thought that was really done incredibly well. But there was one thing that I'm really excited for us specifically to talk about, Kit. And that is we finally got a name drop for a very important character that we were all kind of wondering, are they even going to have that character in the show? And it seems like they are, and it's kind of wild that this is the way that they kind of introduce you to them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk with you about that when we get there. But overall, I thought this was a great episode. I mean, this show continues to hit, and I just love seeing where it's going.
I agree with you guys. I think this is a fantastic episode. So much to dive into. And everything that we loved about Game of Thrones has been dialed up for the most part in House of the Dragon in general, like a return to form as far as the people in rooms talking. Game of Thrones is my favorite show of all time, and I kind of just see this as an extension of that. Like, I don't even delineate them. It's like, which is your favorite Lord of the Rings movie? You know, you pick any. The
trilogy.
It's, I guess, Fellowship, but it's like that you can't go wrong. You know, that's kind of how I feel about these two shows. But also, they've used a lot more female perspective behind the camera in House of the Dragon, and it shows, I think, if you watch both shows.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I really appreciate that specifically. I think that was brought to the forefront yet again, is a better way to say that, in this episode, which again was directed by Claire Kilner. There was a few epic things that were pulled from Fire and Blood, and we wondered how they were going to handle them. I think they were different, but definitely done. Mm-hmm. Specifically the conflict between Eric and Eric, because the way that that's described in the book is kind of mythical, and there's a couple different takes on how it actually went down. And I was curious what they would go with, and they went with like a secret third option, which is really interesting. And I think it's going to be a wildfire online.
Also, with them, I appreciated the inclusion of Mazaria. Like, they're like throwing her in more, and so far I've liked what they've done with that character in this season.
So I was going to say, when we got to it, but you're right. I didn't really love the character in the first season. Nothing against the actress, but a lot of people were upset with the accent because it didn't really make sense for anywhere in Westeros or Essos that anybody spoke like that. It's Sonoya Mizuno. I fucking love what they're doing with this character in this season.
Yeah.
And they are integral in the latter half of the Dance of Dragons in the book. And it looked like they were phasing her out toward the end of season 1. So it's interesting how it's happening here in the book. But I really enjoy inserting her into this particular plot line in this episode as well. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic episode. And I'm so excited because there's some like huge battles coming. The showrunners have confirmed there's 2 of the biggest battles ever put on television in this season. Ooh. And as somebody who read the books, I know what they are, and it's going to be fucking crazy. So yeah, looking forward to that. So anyway, if you're like, oh, I love all the rooms and stuff too, but like, I wish we had more action, like that is definitely coming. I haven't seen past episode 2 yet. I try to stick with Steve as far as watching them and stuff, but so I'm not like spoiling anything. It's just the showrunners have confirmed. Yeah, we're bros. We're Eric and Eric.
Yeah, we're Eric and Eric.
Kit and Steve.
You can't tell us apart.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Famously, yeah. Am I the caboodle?
You have to be caboodle.
Okay. I'll take
Caboodles
it.
can carry lots of things, Steve.
That's true. That's true. You're like,
So many
I'm
compartments.
I'm caboodle. And I just have like a bunch of shit.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I dropped it all. Fuck.
But let's get into our recap. Let's dive straight in. The episode opens with the aftermath of Blood and Cheese. The Red Keep is panicking. The maids are cleaning up like the blood and guts from Jaehaerys being beheaded in his freaking bassinet, basically.
Awful.
And this
they're rounding up the servants and stuff.
Gorgeous,
they don't know what's going on.
Melancholic violin is playing. Ramin Djawadi strikes again. Incredible montage sequence of just everybody. And I like how it zeroes in on guilty parties. You see Alicent, who was in there riding that coal pole. Mm-hmm. You see
the coal pole himself.
Cole
looking around
suited up now, like, oh, I was totally doing my job.
I was sleeping. What happened?
I was abed.
But also Aemond returning, going back to his chambers and realizing, oh, they were coming for me and I wasn't here, or none of that would have happened.
Yeah.
Finding Maegor's secret passageway, realizing they took his coins. It's just very interesting. A lot told visually.
Yeah, and I didn't say this last time because I didn't notice it, but Aemon's quarters have like a wallpaper drawing of Harrenhal burning, which is a nice, cool little touch.
Really?
Yeah, like if you look in the background, the wall has just this mural of Harrenhal being destroyed.
In his bedroom?
Yeah, in his chambers, yeah.
Fascinating.
But it's and you see Aegon is just beating the fuck out of Viserys's Lego set.
Oh, it's so painful.
So when that scene,
those are expensive.
When that scene started and you see him like hacking it, my first thought was like, no, because I got PTSD from my own Lego breaking
I was going to say he pulled a Carol.
Yeah, he pulled a Carol and destroyed some boy's hard work who didn't save the instructions. But yeah, that was my first reaction was, oh, how dare you? I hate you. But then as the scene progresses, you're like, oh man, because he's upset that his son was brutally murdered and he's just swinging away at things. And even his Kingsguard are like, my king, please. He like pulls a sword on him, like, get the fuck away from me. Like,
yeah, he's like, my king, please. That's the special edition.
You can't get those anymore.
800 golden dragons.
You can only get them on eBay now for 1,000 golden dragons.
That's the Coruscant dropship. I just bought my son that for his birthday, and he spent 5 hours building it in one sitting.
Really?
Like a beast.
I mean, Tom Glenn-Carney, who plays Aegon,
Fantastic.
is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors on the show.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing some excellent work. But yeah, that scene in particular, because I think when Viserys died last season, I know in the show Discord, a lot of our patrons, our stream fiends were in there going to be like, oh, I really want to know what happens to Viserys' Lego set. What happens to it? Like, that was a big point of contention. Like, what happens to his Lego set? And now we know his kid destroys it in a fit of rage.
Not honored.
Yeah.
They should have used the Craggle.
That's one thing about yeah. It's one thing about this show that I forgot to say too, is that like you spend an emotional roller coaster on these characters because you hate them and then you're like, oh, I pity them. And then you're like, no, I hate them again. So they do a really good job of really making you as the viewer confused about how you feel about some of these things.
Yeah. Who are some of the characters that you are like, I hate you, but also I feel bad for you?
I think the weirdest part to me is I hate Otto Hightower, but he is not wrong about a lot of things, and Viserys was. But Viserys was gentle and kind, so it sucked to be like, Viserys was kind of a bad king. Otto had a really good point, but he also installed like his daughter to like totally wreck things. So you can't feel too sorry for him because he did it all in a shady, underhanded way. So I feel like there's plenty of characters in here like that. I mean, Rhaenyra's made some questionable choices. Everybody loves Daemon. He's made a ton of questionable choices.
Oh yeah.
Corlys has made, I mean, like everybody, these characters, you just really go on a roller coaster with them and it makes like these deep feelings.
Would you say they're like onions?
No, more
have
like
layers.
parfaits.
Well, everybody loves parfaits.
Everybody loves parfaits. I think it's fascinating that they haven't actually shown Daemon doing any of the things he's accused of, if you think about it.
That's true.
We didn't see him say in the brothel early in season 1 that Balon was king for a day.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We just assumed he actually said it.
We saw him kill his wife though, right?
Technically, no. He picked up the rock.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
And then it cuts,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
probably, right? And then also, we didn't actually see him say, if you can't find Aemon, kill whoever you see.
That's
They
right.
asked Daemon, he has a smug look, and then the scene cuts.
Right.
And they continually do that to leave you kind of in.
Yeah.
I've never been in question that he did any of those things.
Steve and I had a discussion about some of them. Like, did he do it or not?
Really?
Because he's not arguing and saying he didn't do it.
He
but
never,
it
and he
doesn't
never outright
show
denies
that he
it.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
you're right. You're right.
That they let you, with his character in particular, wonder how big of a piece of shit he is.
Well, really, it comes down to whether or not he was wearing a hoodie in the scene.
That's right.
If he was wearing a hoodie, guilty as sin.
Well, he was in all three of those. Well,
Yeah.
in the last two for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so he didn't say air for a day then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's like, let us raise a toast. Oh, hold on real quick.
and then he threw the hood up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just a fascinating thing. I also like the show's take on Viserys in general. I know that character RIP, but in the book, he's just completely.
He's just an oaf.
Again, it's from Gildane's perspective, and from Eustace and a lot of people that thought Viserys was a piece of shit. They're biased, but they basically said completely useless king, ineffectual, cutting himself on the throne all the time. And the show just portrayed him as a very kind person who wanted his family to be together. Maybe not the strongest king imaginable, but a king who presided over many years of peace and wanted everybody to get along. And now, through Otto's perspective, who kind of brought about his downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He misses him. Like, he was a way better king than this piece of shit.
Otto specifically, I mean, even George R.R. Martin, like, he credits Paddy Considine as making that character of Viserys so much more than what he originally intended him to be when he wrote the book.
Yeah.
And the thing that George R.R. Martin specifically called out in Paddy's performance is that Viserys, he brought dignity to that performance. And I thought that was really cool that they wove that into the episode here when Otto's talking about Viserys, like the dignity of him.
Yeah.
Which is like, we love Viserys so much.
There's that scene.
Vizzy T, love him.
That scene with Otto, we'll get to it, but I just want to say, he's a fucking thesaurus in that scene. And it actually kind of undercuts it to me. And
oh, really?
Yeah, because he's like, you're feckless, indignant,
magnanimous.
And then later,
no one knows what that is, Grandpa.
And he's like, Viserys and his forbearance, his dignity, his just girth and length. And like, it's just, it's like, you're just saying words. But he's so angry. He doesn't know, he just can't process the stupidity of this kid. Right. Yeah. So I understand that, but it's so funny. It's like Otto the thesaurus will be how he is forever known in the annals of time.
I love it.
But then we cut to after the Lego destruction. It's very sad.
Someone in Discord called him autocorrect at one point, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that was Chase Gramo. Yeah.
He's annoying. That's a brilliant nickname. And then Otto tells Alicent, he's trying to console her, the villain will be found. He's not taking any time to grieve, right? That poor child. And Alicent says the child is dead. Their pain is over, but what has been done to my daughter? And then she breaks down. She's blaming herself, partially she very much should, right? And then we get the small council meeting where Aegon is just ranting and stark raving mad, blaming everybody,
Where were you, my Kingsguard?
Yeah, Criston Cole, you son of a bitch.
I was a bed.
I'm not saying which bed, because that's awkward.
But he was laying in bed.
He was. I was a bed.
Why don't you ask your mother?
He's not wrong.
Oh,
that wasn't a lie.
I was with your mom. But he's raging and, blaming all of them. You're right. It could be anybody in this room. Any one of you motherfuckers. Orwyle looking sus.
Oh my God. I think, doesn't Ironrod kind of unintentionally steer him down that path? And as soon as he's like, yeah, it could be one of you, you can see Jasper Wild, Ironrod like, oops, didn't mean to do that.
Anybody but me, for sure.
Clearly it's Orwyle. Come on.
You look at him. He's a maester.
Or Tywin, that he hated your kid. He's always taking his ball. Tyland, sorry.
Don't bring Charles Dance into this.
Don't make me say
He's not even born yet, and you're blaming the man. The poor man.
I would have killed both kids.
He would have. And then Larys announces that they caught blood, basically. He's known to us. A gold cloak, known for being particularly brutal. Honestly, probably shouldn't have hired him in retrospect.
Yes. Usually when we catch cops who are particularly brutal, we just send them to a district over.
We suspended him many times for killing children. And yeah, so they
one bad apple, am I right, guys?
and Aegon wants to kill him immediately, but Otto's like, no, we need to learn from him what we can. I trust your trade, Larys, which is torture, in case anybody didn't know. His trade is torture. And Aegon's angry because of what Larys kind of planted the seeds of hatred of Otto in his head. He's like, all you do is yap, yap, yap. What are we trying to question him for? We know that Rhaenyra did this, right?
Let's kill him.
Let's just burn them all. Just drop nukes on him.
Was that the Mad King? A little bit of the Mad King? Burn them all?
Burn them all.
But Otto's like, dude, they already see you as weak. So we need to have a whole funeral procession for your boy. Let Alicent and Helena be there. We're going to spare you the indignity of going through this, but let the women go. The most, what did he say? Like the most gentle souls will go.
He wants the political capital, at least, of this tragedy.
Yeah.
To use this as propaganda against Rhaenyra. It's a perfect opportunity. That's all he can see right now.
Yeah.
And even Aegon, who's a sociopath somewhat, but clearly not because he has feelings, but not one of good behavior historically.
Right.
but he's like clearly like losing it and weepy. And yeah, you're right. I don't think it's because he wants to spare him. I think it's because he doesn't trust him to pull off the charade.
Handle himself.
You're going to ruin this, so you
Right.
stay in.
Yeah, you
Also,
suck.
he'd be a target out there. It's not a good idea to have them all together like that. Yeah.
Like Secret Service wise.
Yeah.
No good. Pull a JFK on his ass. For sure.
the second shooter.
Sir Lee Harvey
On a dragon.
Fired
Sir Harvey of House Lee.
of House Knoll.
Grassy Knoll.
Yes. You did it like James Bond.
Grassy Knoll.
My name is Knoll. Grassy Knoll.
Back into the left.
Then we cut to Helena being told of the funeral by Alicent. And she's like, I don't want to do that. It sounds awful. I'm still, my son was beheaded.
It'll bring you and the small folk closer. I don't want them closer.
They're stinky.
Have you seen them?
I don't like them.
That's so sad. She's like, I don't even know those people. Like, it's very sad because she's very dry and she doesn't really she doesn't show a lot of emotions really. She's very stiff.
Yeah, they've
and-
always portrayed her to, and she got a lot of criticism in the last episode for not reacting the way people wanted to Jaehaerys'
I thought that was
murder.
very on point for her character.
She's always been shown to be distant in that way, but also was in a catatonic state.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic, actually.
And she's portrayed to be what they call a dreamer in this universe.
Yeah.
You know, like a prophet.
Right.
And so I think that's part of what has her distant like that.
Right.
And in fact, during the funeral, you can see her like looking up at the moats, the dust moats and stuff. And I thought it was, is it implied that she sees something there, you know?
It felt like that was kind of prophetic in some way because it cuts later to Rhaenyra looking at the dust in the castle like the same way.
Yeah.
It's probably like,
So-
I can see that correlating to like ash from like some sort of battle or like a ton of things
Maybe.
are burnt. It's the ash in the wind or
Yeah.
something.
Or the snows of Winterfell because it's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
just-
Winter. It's always coming.
Oh my God.
Unless it's here.
And Alison Hightower's like, yeah, it is.
Oh my God. Yeah, but she's very sad. Like she's very sad. I'm sorry. What?
No, it's just.
What did I miss?
You're doing the right thing.
I'm trying to redirect you, and you guys are
Segueing
still.
back.
And weird stuck on coming.
Sorry.
Coming.
What were you trying to say?
No, I was just saying, like she's such a sad character because she is very she's very different from her family. She doesn't seem very connected to anything at all, and not even reality most of the time. And even Rhaenyra was like, I wouldn't harm her. I would not do that to her.
Helena
Like,
of all people.
Helena of all people, because I think she feels sorry for her because she's so estranged from her family and reality.
And literally the last time she saw Helena was probably like a month ago in their time at this point. And that was when Jace and her were dancing at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And
And she kind of, And to your point, you're saying like seeing it from women's point of view. She's like, I'm a mother. She's a mother. Like I would not do that. Seeing it, from that female perspective.
Yeah, always. The funeral procession itself, once it starts, is intercut with the interrogation, if you call it that, of Blood. Blood, not as stout and strong as he seemed in the first episode.
no, he crumbled under pressure real quick.
He going to hurt me.
He went from fuck the high towers to please don't hurt me, Laris.
It's my bee. I did it my bee.
It was a rat catcher's fault. He made me do it.
He was scary, that cheese. He had a big scary dog. I think it was a wolf.
He was like, he stuck his dog on me and they said, hey, if you don't kill this boy, I'll stick all the rats on you too and I'll hate me rats.
Yeah, have you ever seen Wilfred?
That's a terrible movie. It's scary.
It's terrifying. The one with Crispin Glover, not the original.
Yeah, that dude's creepy.
Yeah, I love Back to the Future, though.
Great movie.
Also, your skits are all my favorite on SNL, Mikey Day.
Erica thinks that Laris the Clubfoot looks like Mikey Day from SNL.
It's headcanon. He is on SNL. It's actually Laris the Clubfoot.
Yeah.
This Saturday night.
He's like,
Laris the Clubfoot.
are you going to hurt me? And he's like, I wouldn't hurt you because we're live from New York Saturday night.
But yes, I am going to hurt you.
We're going to kill you.
But they've got Jaehaerys with his head sewn back on in a cart right in front of Alicent and Helena as they roll through King's Landing. Behold the works of Rhaenyra. She sucks.
She's Kinslayer. Everyone knows this.
Look what she did.
Also, she never returns her cart at the grocery store.
It's because she's a woman. Most likely.
Most likely. Can't trust them. Never trust anything that bleeds for 7 days and doesn't die.
Because they're misogynist. Not Steve.
Not me.
No.
I'm a good boy.
That's how they be, man.
Bitches, am I right?
So when that wheel gets stuck in that, I thought that baby was gonna come
it's
off.
like he's wiggling.
I was like, no.
Yeah. It was going to be like a coffin flop situation.
I thought so too.
Oh my God.
I wanted it.
Oh, I thought it was coming.
Yeah.
I was bracing myself for it.
Fall in the
And
puddle.
I totally expected that baby to fall out and the head to roll.
That's what I thought too.
Head
I was
will
like, what if
roll.
the head comes off?
Yeah.
What if, and then like it had an anachronistic, like, off with heads.
Dun, 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 dun.
Off with heads.
Oh no.
Heads will roll.
Heads are wrong.
It would have taken me out a little bit, but I would have still enjoyed it.
Yeah, we would have been like, is this the best episode of hockey?
Just cuts to Rhaenyra. I
Dancing.
would have fucking loved it, dude.
Oh my God. They
But
need
it
us.
didn't happen.
They need us in the
Let
writers'
me
room.
direct, Claire. I'll take over.
We don't need the women's point of view anymore. We need Kit Laser's point of view.
I think so. Just one.
One and done.
I wouldn't be cutting certain scenes, I'll tell you that.
We'll get there.
By the way, viewership was down 21% from last season on episode 1, which I thought was curious. Curious. Because I thought the show was bigger than ever, but I'm in a bubble of nerds. You know what I mean?
Maybe just people had Father's Day plans.
That's true. It was Father's Day.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they watched it later.
Actually, it's
And the
interesting.
Tonys were on.
Well, the Tonys are taking so many people from
Crushing the views.
No, I went. Actually, it's funny you say that because I did have several shoots on my day job this week, and like a lot of the dudes I work with are also like nerdy kind of guys, and we don't work together often because they're freelancers. But when we do, we like huddle together and
But
like, oh my
when
God,
we
nerd
do.
things. And all of them, I was like, guys, hot. First, I was like, guys, Acolyte. And they're like, Discourse. And then I was like, what about Hot D? And both of them like, haven't seen it yet. And I was like,
Interesting.
what the fuck? You're the problem.
Yeah, you are the problem. My phasers are set to kill.
Oh shit.
That's how you insult nerds. They're like, what?
It's Logic Spock.
Set them to stun, my guy. I'll watch it later.
Oh.
But then, and during that scene, we get the bit where Aegon comes in. I was also disappointed by how quickly he killed Blood. Now, he might have just broken his jaw and caved in his skull a little bit, but it looked like a death blow. You know, I thought he was going to
Yeah, there's a 50-50%
torture him a
chance
little bit.
he wouldn't get up from that.
I don't think that he was planning on him being alive or dead for the torture. I think he was still hitting the shit out of that guy, but much later. I think
I would like to have seen more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the books, it's a little bit more. They kind of go into detail what happened to him.
They
a little
kept
bit
him
more.
alive for 13 days, I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
Torturing
just-
him?
Yeah.
He got out all his Mikey Day got out all the dentist tools in the beginning.
I know.
He looks so sad that he wasn't going to use it.
Honestly, that's how all it would take for me too. As soon as you unroll that shit, what do you need to know?
You don't even know what tools he's unrolling. Like you, what do you want?
I got you. Steve lives on Washington. Write that down. I don't want him. I'm just saying, if you do, I'll tell you where. Who else?
You might someday.
Yeah.
Here's my account number, my routing number. I mean, there's no need.
Here's my social security number. There you go.
I once signed a statement in exchange for a cigarette that I never got. I am not good under duress.
Oh man, I want you to get that ciggy.
I was mad. So then we cut to we get the little bit on during the funeral procession where Helena seems to be like dreaming a little bit. The wagon gets stuck. We cut to Rhaenyra hearing of the death of Jaehaerys on Dragonstone. She's shocked to learn this. And they think, I did it. That's fucking crazy.
Why would I do that? I
Why
love
would
Helena.
I or anybody I hang out with do that?
And then the whole
Nobody
time
I know would.
Damon's sitting there like,
It's so funny. And Rhaenys like looking at Daemon like you fucking did that. And he's like, he's not even like bashful about it. He's just like,
He's very
oh
smirky.
yes. I know what you're thinking and you're thinking right.
it was me. Honestly, Damon for someone else. Aemon for someone
He's
else.
the Dr. Brenner of this universe. Just like, so I did it.
Of course I killed a kid. Why wouldn't I?
I'm only sad I couldn't make it and fight another one somehow.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and unfortunately, he's not getting stronger.
I'll just say it. He didn't get stronger. He could have.
Sometimes to make an omelet,
You got to break a few
gotta kill some
Aegons.
kids.
You gotta take some heads off some 4-year-olds.
You got to break a few Aegons to make an omelet. And that wasn't even his name. And I'm real sorry about that. And she also won't let Jacaerys fly, right? So she's already like, she's lost Luke. And there's that little bit where he's like, I can fly Vermax. And she's like, no, you can sit right the fuck down and play with your crayons.
In fact, don't leave my sight.
And her buddy, I don't even know who that is, one of her lords, is like, the damage to her cause is immeasurable.
Oh, Sir Alfred or something?
No, Alfred's the one that talks shit and thinks she did it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about the other dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the Sir Alfred comes in and he's like, look, I'm not saying you did it, but I am saying if you were upset in your womanly grief with your inability to control your emotions, maybe perhaps if you had done that, I would understand.
Listen, women, hear me out. Crazy.
I'm a woman. I've been hysterical plenty of times.
As you do.
As
we know.
I do. We all are.
I listen to Jay-Z, but not Beyonce. I just want everybody to know that. Now go on, brush your shoulders off. and at some point, by what Rhaenys sticks up for her, and she's like, stop, Alfred. And then it kind of like pulls racks focus onto Eric. Not to be confused with Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not Eric.
I like that they did that. Like, he's like, I will literally kill you if you imply that she did this. You know, he's a loyal dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhaenyra looks at Daemon finally. Like, it just occurs to her. She's like, oh yeah, I'm married to a fucking nutbag.
A real loose cannon.
I think I just solved the riddle.
Can I have the room with my dear husband?
She's basically the captain, and she's about to demand his gun and badge because he's caused too much damage in
wrecked
Miami.
20 cars.
Yeah. That's basically how he is.
The bear's going to have my ass for this.
He's the Riggs with no Murtaugh, you know?
I'm too old for this shit.
And we cut to Daemon attempting to explain himself, you know, very without shame. Yeah, I told him to kill Aemon. I don't know why. That's crazy they would kill a kid.
That's weird.
I don't know. It's not my fault. They're stupid.
And if they couldn't find Aemon, what did you tell them to do? Any child will do?
No. Toad's not said that.
Shh. No. Me?
I don't believe you, she says. She looks him right in the eye. And
she's like, I cannot trust you. I never fully trusted you. When I was younger, I saw it as a challenge, but now I've got my own goddamn challenges.
yeah. And are you sure that your support of me is not just an attempt to grasp at your stolen inheritance, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell she fears him, but not enough to not speak her mind. But like when he throws the cups and, you know, he goes full Kyle for a second and she's got that, because he's choked her before. You know? And he calls it my brother's throne. That's one thing I wrote down. And she says, no, it's my throne, right? And I don't think you're trying to help me so much as you're trying to indulge the darkness that you keep sheathed within you like a blade.
Great line. Great line.
I just gave myself chills quoting Rhaenyra. That's wild. That's a good line when it can do that. Yeah, and he says that Viserys was afraid of me, and she kind of laughs that off. Like, he wasn't afraid of you. He could not trust you, right? Like, so he sees Viserys as weak, and he said that to his face. Mm-hmm. But he loved him anyway. And it's kind of like this, I don't know, what's the word? When you're like looking, it's condescending the way that he looks at it. And she's like, you got it all wrong. Like, he was a strong king and you're a fucking nut job that could never toe the line and fully serve him. And he loved you anyway. And, you know, it's just a different way of looking at it. So he storms out after she calls him pathetic. And
you struck down a child, dude.
He's like, my bees. How many times do I gotta say my bees?
My bee.
God.
It was a mistake.
What does not kill you makes you stronger.
It's just a
I'm with him.
And he's considerably not stronger.
As also a terrible manager of a team, I agree. Blame your subordinates. The buck stops there.
Was Daemon saying that Viserys set her up to eventually marry him to help with the throne? Was he saying that? Because he said something to the effect of like he was setting her up on purpose. Like he was using her. Like Daemon implied that Viserys was using her.
What I took from was he said he was using you to piss me off. It's not because you're so wise.
Oh, okay.
Capable.
I thought he was saying he was setting her up because he knew that one day Daemon would take it anyway. So, okay.
Yeah. I took it the way that Chris did because he was Viserys's original heir, but then he broke the tradition of no girls allowed.
Okay.
And made her his heir, and that was really to like.
So just a pawn to hurt him, not as
that's
like
that's
a
what he's saying,
plan, a bigger plan. Okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Right.
And then they let this girl in.
Yeah.
And I'll support you, but just you have to know that's because I'm being nice.
Yeah. I'm a real nice guy.
Mm-hmm. I had a minty bee. And I'm sorry.
We've all been there.
Can we move past this?
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I should have probably just fucked Criston Cole.
You know
Everyone
what?
else is doing it.
Everyone else is doing it. Jesus.
In retrospect. And I'm real sorry about that. But Daemon runs into his daughter Baela in the hallway on the way out and doesn't say much. And then she comes in and talks to Rhaenyra. And she's like, what about daddy? And she's like, your daddy's doing his own thing. So you're going to serve me or not?
I do love how they did that insert of her running into him in the hall just so they can so she can say father and he run off because they've had so little screen time together. I would not fault the audience for forgetting that he is her father.
And also they cut scenes of Daemon and Baela together that from season 1, which is very sad. But even more than that, I really appreciate House of the Dragon. And we've said this before, but watching it alongside Game of Thrones season 1, the production value is crazy different. You know, they show the connecting hallways and the stairwells. Yeah. And in season 1 of Game of Thrones, you have 4 guys out on a royal hunt in the backyard.
Look at that total goobers. Yeah, someone, I can't remember if somebody wrote it into us or is this something I saw online, but like even to the point where the trek that Rhaenyra and Laenor made when Joffrey was born to go see Alicent in the one episode in season 1 is the same exact trek that Helena takes to get to Alicent in the first episode last.
Yeah, my wife pointed that out.
Because she's no longer the queen. She's not in the queen's chamber. She would be where Rhaenyra is or was. And like, that's just really impressive that they like have that marked down in a way that they can go back to that trail.
Never take down the sets.
No, keep them up forever.
That's an amateur move.
Yeah.
When I visited the studio that Robert Rodriguez owns, and I got to interview him for a movie that he had. But out back, they still had the entire set that you could walk through. Like it was like a little town for Alita Battle Angel.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, this has just been sitting out here for like 9 years. You know what I mean? He's like, because I'm still hoping for the sequel. You know what I mean? Like it's just built back there, and it's so crazy. Yeah, that's rule number 1.
One day, Robert.
I want it. I need it. I love Alita Battle Angel. But yeah, Rhaenyra tells Baela to keep an eye on the skies with Moon Dancer and do your goddamn job, right? She's loyal to her.
We can afford no further mistakes, my lady.
And then we get the indomitable Big Red Noodly Boy.
Big Red Noodly Boy. God, I love his weird like me.
Oh, I love the sound
noise
design.
he makes.
It reminds me of Jurassic Park. You know, you get that incredible mixture of animal noises that makes that iconic T-Rex or whatever.
That's really close. I thought I was there.
You are in the park. You see the water?
Oh my God, it's moving.
Life finds a way, and so does the Big Red Noodly Boy.
The T-Rex is like mocking someone. Like, have you heard of chaos theory?
Nerd. Chaos theory. That's what he does, yeah. I'm a lawyer. I'm taking a shit.
But yeah, Daemon's in full battle armor. He's ready to go. I assume he's going to Harrenhal.
Dude, they have because that's a huge part of the book where he goes to Harrenhal. That's all I'll say for now. And the fact that they're so clearly not going to show that because they've just dropped that like 5 times. I should be in Harrenhal right now doing blah, 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 blah. And like, well, where's he at? He's probably in Harrenhal. Like they just, Harrenhal, Daemon Harrenhal. It's like
Harrenhal?
Steve and his obsession with Hall.
Oh, Hull?
Harrenhal?
Did you just mention Hull? Which I am sad to say, I'm pretty sure that
not
isn't Hull.
It's not
After
Hull.
this episode, it's like not Hull. I'm so disappointed.
It's just Driftmark.
I know. I'm so sad.
You felt like such a goober today, I bet.
I did. As soon as he's like, I just drove in from Hull, I was like, but wait,
Aren't you in?
aren't you in Hull?
He collapsed. We had to pause it while he consoled
I
himself.
was crying for 15
He had to go
uninterrupted
fuck
minutes.
Criston Cole to cheer himself up.
I did.
Because that's what everybody does instead of therapy.
Yeah.
I get it.
Don't get mad, but crispy.
Yep.
There's also a quick scene where Aegon walks by Helena. They pass each other on the stairs and she stops to look at him. She has not seen her brother and husband and father of her children since they lost Jaehaerys. And he's like, I can't deal with that right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fuck Criston. And just refuses to comfort her. And by the way, I saw some shit on Twitter, which I should never acknowledge, but it was a like Team Green stan.
What are those?
What?
They exist. Fighting back against this scene. It bothers
This scene
me.
in particular with
I guess it had
Aegon
been
and-
leaked maybe, or I don't know how they were discussing it, but it was just like defending, oh, you want him to like comfort Helena? That's his sister, you creeps. You guys love incest. And they're just
Does he
acting.
not know?
Just no, they do, but it's like, I just don't think that's a helpful way to read this show. I think you need to put like morality of our universe aside and acknowledge that, yes, that's his sister, but that's also his wife. You know what I mean? Like get past
How
that.
about a there, not a fuck session? Like that's, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you're sad about our kid being there? Let me fuck you to sleep. Or how about a just pat on the head? Like,
Even
sorry.
if your sister had her son, if that was your nephew, you know,
Yeah.
you would do more than a
there, anything. A little shoulder check.
I think
like
it's in juxtaposition with what else we see of people not comforting other people in this family in this episode. I think it's very much intentionally just like
That's what this family does.
a
They don't-
trauma of this family.
They don't. They don't console each other.
Yeah.
They all fuck Criston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in Aemon's case, he goes to a very specific woman.
Kristen's probably in the back.
She probably like if that scene went on, like she just like takes a mask off and it's
A
Criston.
Mission Impossible.
I was going to say, do you think maybe that's his mom?
Mummy.
Mommy?
Kristen's mom.
Oh, that's Mrs. Cole.
That's Criston Cole.
Yeah. Oh,
just
I
need
love it.
I need a coal hole.
Anywhere will do.
I don't know why I said that like Otto. Don't make me do it, Your Grace.
Please don't make me do it, Your Grace.
We gotta pay the coal toll.
Coal toll. Oh, it's a heavy price to bear.
Oh, man.
My burden. And then we get the scene with Criston Cole and his own guilt, and he's confronted by the aftermath of Blood and Cheese, the bloody mattress in the children's bedroom. And he's just looking aghast at it, right? Juxtaposed, like intercut with Rhaenyra playing with Aegon and Viserys. So her children are alive. Well,
Aegon the Younger.
Aegon the Younger and Viserys. Yeah, I don't want to confuse people with the multiple Aegons. And then Alicent is taking another bath. She's always feeling dirty. And she goes out to before she does that.
I gotta say, this scene starts off with someone having like a pitcher and they're pouring the water into the tub. And all I can think of is like, she's been filling that tub up for an hour.
That water's cold.
That water is cold. Like, my lady, it's...
I like to think she's one of 10. And
They're just like
that's
rotating.
just the last bucket.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so it's done more quickly than it looks. It's
okay.
like, get a bigger bucket or get some stronger handmaidens.
Right.
Laris, who'd you hire?
Yeah, seriously.
Just pour in a cup. Sorry, my lady.
I've only got the Dixie cups for today. It's getting quite soggy. I got to change Dixie cups.
Laris has instructed to make sure that you wash your feet.
He wants the water cold, so she hurries up and gets out before her piggies get wrinkled. They're not as hot when they're wrinkled.
By the way, that because you say that, I think it's important to note that when she's taking a bath, one of the cameras is put behind the screen in that room as it reminded me of like a horror movie when it's implying someone's watching.
We already know that there are like all those secret tunnels. I mean, Daemon's been caught spying on people in the secret tunnels. So, and it only makes sense that Laris would
Lurk.
be doing that, be lurking.
Yeah.
Specifically with her. Remember last season how
You
people
missed the spot.
were wondering if, oh shit. And then you're like,
Wash your feet more.
you gotta get in between the toes.
Your left toes are dirty.
All the
Mikey
servants
Day?
just keep all the servants just keep going behind that screen for some reason and coming back with, oh, I meant to do this and I forgot.
Yeah.
Gross.
Before she gets in her tub, though, she kind of shits on Criston Cole, who's standing guard outside her room. She's like, are you going to tell anybody? Because you're a little bitch snitch. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you think I am? An idiot? And she's like, one who seeks absolution. And he's changed now. He's like, oh, no, I'm fucked. There is no absolution
There's
for me.
none for what I've done.
I'm just going to keep on trucking, you know?
I'm doubling down.
And it's interesting because when he slept with Rhaenyra, he was like, I need to clean my cloak, come clean, just kill me. Don't cut my dick off and send me to the wall. Just kill me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dirty, dirty man. And now he's like, I'm just a piece of shit.
Yep.
There's nothing that can be done for me,
Nope.
you know? And so I think it's important. It's an important scene. It's kind of glossed over so quickly, but it means like there's a scene in the Game of Thrones book in the original where they have to behead a deserter from the Night's Watch. And he tells Bran, it's super important that you know that this is the most dangerous man you'll ever find, a deserter of the Night's Watch, who knows that he's damned. He will be killed as soon as he's found by anybody. And so because of that, there's no crime that they will shrink from, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I think that's where they're going with Criston here. Like he knows he's fucked. His soul is never going to return. And so there's nothing he won't do.
Right.
At this point, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Criston gives Eric shit. Eric with an A. I've called him Arik on the show, so you won't get confused. I will, I guess, continue to do that. But
Arik.
He gives Arik shit for his dirty white cloak.
I didn't think it was possible to hate Criston Cole more. Like, because he's one of those characters, like, I hate him so much.
Eric is going to lose it.
And the stuff that he was saying to Arik in this was just like, you little dick.
I wanted to
hate him.
flip a fucking table. Ugh.
The cloak is a symbol of purity and fidelity.
Yeah, purity and fidelity. You
Where
fuck.
were you when Jaehaerys was murdered?
Oh, God.
I
was fucking
protecting
the queen.
king. Yeah, I was fucking the queen. Where
I
were
was
you?
doing my duty, okay? Like, I was performing some duties, all right?
Yeah.
Where were, yeah, that's, oh, God. I hate him so much.
Yeah, just like he was murdered on your... He's taking all of the guilt that he has in himself and he's throwing it at this other dude.
He's projecting.
Yes, definitely projecting
Because
every guilt.
Instead of therapy, all of the people in the Hightower family sleep with Criston Cole. But what does Criston Cole do
This is
when
a
he
real
needs therapy?
Who watches the Watchmen situation.
Exactly.
Who does Criston Cole fuck when he needs therapy?
It was an inside job. He's losing his mind. And I guess he's already cleared this with King Aegon. But they argue for a while about questionable loyalty, things like that. And then finally he says, I want you to go to Dragonstone and pretend to be your brother and slay Rhaenyra. And he's like, but my lord, Rhaenyra already slays. Have you seen her? And he's like, no, not like that. Like literally kill her. and nobody will notice that you are not your brother, right? As long as you don't run into each other.
Yeah, you'll get triumph and glory. Or we might have to question your
Or get
loyalty
dead.
to the king.
Mm-hmm. And,
So he's pretty much telling this guy, like, if you don't do this, we'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
and I love the way Arik portrays this in that moment. He's played by Elliot. I don't know if it's Tittensor. So I don't know if it's Tittensor, but Elliot and Luke are the two twins that play Eric and Eric. I don't know which one's which. I'm going to be honest, but like in this moment, you can kind of see where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna die. I have like 3 days to live," and you can see him like resolutely go, "Yes, my lord." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I took that. Like there was no world in which he succeeded in this mission and returned home to glory.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have a brief, interesting scene between Jace and Baela where they talk about their father. And again, there's another mention of Harrenhal, I swear to God. Where's he at? Harrenhal,
literally-
probably.
It's in the opening credits. It's on Aemon's wallpaper. Everyone's talking about Harrenhal, guys.
But they talk about fathers, and including Harwin. Like they acknowledge that he's a strong, basically. And like it's like, I think he loved me. Of course he did. He's your dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody fucking knows.
This was a real sweet scene.
Yeah.
These two are really sweet. I'm here. I'm here for the Jason Baela train. All aboard. Jayla. I'm all about
Oh,
it.
I like Jayla. Yeah, that's nice.
And yeah, and they're talking about like, what do you know about my, like where's Daemon gone? What do you know about Laenor? And he's like, well, he taught us how to fish. He loves sea shanties, and boy howdy, that dude could not say no to cake. Am I right?
Yes, he loved wink, wink.
He
Cake
loved cake.
and Chapel Roan.
And then they called Sir Harwin Strong breakbones. I think he loved us. It's sweet. It's sweet.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
I miss Luke.
And then we cut to Aemond in a whorehouse.
Are you excited for all the nudity you finally saw, kid?
Not really, dude. You know,
So muted.
after what I found out about what was cut from us, I'll never.
Listen, before we press play on this episode, Kit was like, "Man, I think Hot D's better for it for not having the nudity. I think like compared to Game of Thrones, but I miss it." And then
I'm just keeping it real.
And then the titty showed up, and I'm like, "Dude, there it is!" And you're like, "It's not the same."
No,
The
it's
quote
too
was tasteful and stupid nudity.
I told you guys this in confidence. Here's what happened. Olivia Cook came out in an interview and she said there was a lengthy, dirty, nasty, raunchy, messy, stunning sex scene between Criston Cole and I that was cut. And I'm sad about it. That's what she said, as Michael Scott would say. Yes. No, she literally said that, right? And all of us that are cultured were like, damn it. Yep. Because, it doesn't matter. We're going through a thing in society where we're really offended by boobs and balls on screen.
Let me see that dick.
And there's a purity movement where people are like, why are they always fucking on TV? We don't need that. It doesn't move the plot. And it's verifiably, scientifically, mathematically the case that there is far less nudity on screen than there ever has been. Maybe not in TV, because it's allowed now. There's prestige, there's streaming. But movies, there's like a categorically measurable lack of sex on a dearth, if you will.
Dearth.
A sex dearth. That's a good band name. And also accurate for my life on screen. And so it's a little dangerous because I think deviance and judginess is brought on by making it taboo and not the inverse, right? So anyway, that's why I speak the way that I do. But also, I think it's okay to be titillated. I think it's okay to enjoy stories in that way. You guys ever watch Spartacus or or Banshee? Like these old shows in the early aughts where they would just Game of Thrones with the sex position. We just used to throw it in just to keep you guys from getting bored.
Oh, we're losing them. We're losing.
Quick. Throw in Alfie Ellen's dick. Steve's back. Steve's back.
I'm here. I'm back.
I reeled him in.
So yeah, it was a good scene. But Aemon's
in case of emergency, break glass and unleash Alfie Ellen's dick.
Kiki.
My tits are back.
The tits are back. Erica knows what I'm talking about. This episode of Streaming Things is sponsored by BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
Steve, there's something I need to get off my chest.
What's that, fella?
It's been weighing on me. You know that I resigned at the day job recently, right? And I've been a little scared. There's a family to worry about. There's health insurance. There's capitalism.
Sounds like a stressful time.
But we all carry around different stressors, big and small. And it feels better when you bring something to the light and keep them bottled up. It can start to affect us negatively. And therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. In my case, it's all of the stress, the misery, the fear. But I had to come over here and share that with you, and I felt better. That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
Unloading all that on you and Erica and feeling better myself.
That sounds like my Friday night.
Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you're not vibing, that's completely fine. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/streamingthings to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/streamingthings.
It's the month of June, and it's a very special month because our Patreon tiers just got a huge upgrade at patreon.com/streamingthings. And I want to thank the very special patrons who signed up to be super patrons of Streaming Things, keeping the lights on for us day in and day out. So thank you so much to Album Stinkpot, Digimon Digital Monsters with a much longer name, but I'm only saying those 3 words, Dylan Dunkleys, Stanton Valentino, Maddlestat, Susie Callahan, Anthony Corona, Parmesan, Sunshine, Ashley Hazen, Just Liz Calabria, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, Emily Scarano, Lil Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, Bloff Pum, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Wendy O'Laughlin, Big Butthorn, Conrad, Jer Lektanovich, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Elpander, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, John Collins, Trisha Bueller, Sun-Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jen Robinson, Kalisha Reeves, Paula Garcia, Kevin Strother, Ashley Powers, Stephen V, Casey McCain, and Enza. Thank you all so much for supporting Streaming Things. And with that, let's get back to this episode.
Aemon's in the whorehouse. And he was with her the night that Jaehaerys was killed. So that's why he wasn't in the room. He was with her. And this is an older woman that he just like cuddled. He has like mommy issues with, right? Like, and this is new. There's something we're going to talk about in Westerospection with this scene.
I'm wondering if this is the same woman from season 1, because there's the...
That's a great pull, because I didn't recall that.
There's an I think it's episode
I think it's the
9?
last episode. Or no, it's the one where he's coronated.
It's the Greens one, yeah. It's when Aemond and Criston Cole are on the Street of Silk looking for Aegon, and they go to one of the brothels, and I think it's this woman who opens the door, and she's like, Aegon hasn't been here. Oh, but I remember you looking at Aemond. My, how you've grown. And so they're laying the seeds very early on that Aemond has a very particular
fetish, if you will,
eye for lovers. Yeah.
Speaking of eye, well, do you remember? You just watched the last couple episodes recently. Do you remember this woman? Steve speaks?
I can't recall if it's the same woman, but it does sound right because I remember it being an older woman and not because I think there was a time where a younger woman greeted at the door.
Yeah.
But this woman was a little older, so I'm wondering because time has passed, so that makes sense actually. Because how many years have passed since they were looking for?
Oh, it's only been like a month.
No.
Since he was with her.
Yeah.
Oh, it was because it was a gift for like Aegon paid for this woman for Aemon for one of his birthdays, but I can't remember what birthday it was. But it was like maybe like when he was 16 or something. I don't know.
So if you were able to see Aemon's search history, it'd be a lot of MILFs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like he's like watching MILF Manor constantly.
She got that MILF money.
But this scene is interesting. First off, the whole bit that they do with the eye and like when the one is closed and that one's always just staring is very interesting and creepy. But he's like, he's afraid of me, talking about Daemon. You know,
I'm honored.
This is nice. But also he does say, I do regret what happened to Luke. I lost my temper. And I love that the show takes the time not only to show, I mean, the entire show is about patriarchy and how none of this would have happened if the women were allowed to be in charge like they're supposed to. But also what happens to the small folk when all this shit happens, right? And I know that they take that time and they used to tease me and I lost my temper, right? And she says, well, do remember, my lord, when princes lose their temper, it's the small folk who suffer, people like me.
And he's like, Mommy?
Oh, I wouldn't want to hurt you.
I don't want to hurt Mommy.
And then we cut to Hugh the blacksmith, who we saw in the first episode as a petitioner, talking about how he hadn't been paid yet for all the work, making the scorpions and stuff for Aegon. And Aegon was like, oh, well, totes pay you. That's a good point. And Otto rolled his eyes like, we're definitely not going to.
Hate contractors.
Don't talk to the pores. I've told you time and again.
Gross.
And he's with his family. So we meet his wife and he has like a sick daughter. And due to the blockade, the prices, there's massive amounts of inflation going on. We can relate to that.
She was looking for a chicken for 2 hours. The chicken economy is in the tubes right now.
I paid thrice for a buck what I would normally.
They closed the local Popeyes. I can't get spicy chicken. That sandwich, no one can find it anywhere.
Those are sold out a lot in real life.
Yeah.
And Adam and Alan. So we meet Alan again. We saw him in the first episode. We meet his brother Adam. And he's trying to convince him to like use the respect and indebtedness that Corlys feels, and he says ominously, or it indicates something, he owes us, right? He's also really excited for goat stew.
That goat stew, he does sound good.
There's not cats in it, is there? Yes.
Yes. It's the thickening agent.
And we cut to Corlys and Rhaenys abed. Post-coitus, we can imagine. I don't know. But they have a good talk about Daemon and how he's a shit. I don't think he's going to like challenge her claim to the throne, Rhaenys says, but I think he's going to have a hard time submitting to her, taking orders from her. And there's
Corlys is like, I've always had fun with that.
There's a good submission sex joke there. I found it rather awesome from time to time. And she's like, stop. Now get down on your knees.
Corlys is in a gimp suit.
Oh, no.
Not that hardcore. We cut, sorry. I zoned out.
You got lost in thought?
I couldn't get past it.
Taking notes for your fan fiction.
We cut to Rhaenyra. What was Rhaenyra reading? Steve's really good at this kind of thing. There was like a picture of a dragon, like a little medieval dragon lady thing.
A book? I don't know. I don't know. I really didn't know what she was reading.
That's not my dragon. Was it that?
That's not my dragon.
She's like, this one's too scaly.
Was that the book she was reading?
This one's too leathery.
Is it like a Goldilocks dragon story?
Well, it's a touchy-feely book. So you open up, that's not my dragon. It's too scaly. And then you can put your hands on it.
Yeah.
It's scaly.
Got tons of those for Arya.
Yeah.
My daughter.
And then you go through a couple of them until you find the one where it's like, that's my dragon.
Yeah. It's a great story.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
And we cut to, so she's reading that, and then Missaria is brought in and asks about her part, and her role in the blood and cheese incident.
I regret it now.
And she's
I bet you do.
Yeah, you're a real suck face. And Missaria's like, look, I just did what I was told. I was supposed to be set free if I gave him a couple of names. That's all I did, right? And at this point, she says, where is Daemon, by the way? He said he would set me free. And it's like, she's gone for a week, maybe forever. And I love that line, a week or forever. And that's how unpredictable Daemon is. And at that point, Missaria is like, he does do that. And that's when Rhaenyra remembers her as his ex-girlfriend, right? The White Worm.
You were the one that he said was with child and he was gonna marry you, and he stole the egg and he made that whole kerfuffle and we were on the bridge.
And I flew down. I was super badass. That's
totally dope.
I don't know if you remember how badass I was, but I was. And she says, it would not serve me to set you free. And then we get Missaria's backstory where she talks about, why she was a prostitute and how the system is rigged. And I've realized that. I'm glad they set my house on fire because I've tried so hard to be a person of consequence, and they're never going to let me be what I deserve to be. And so it'd be better if I just left. And then she says something curious. She says, how did you get that scar? And then the scene ends. She walks away. What scar is she even referring to? Is it like on her neck?
I'm not sure.
I noticed the discoloration on her neck.
Yeah, I thought it looked like a rope scar, like the one that Aldo Raines has in Inglourious Bastards. But I don't actually know, even from the book.
Yeah, I couldn't place that. I thought maybe she would start going into a Heath Ledger Joker monologue, but
you want to know how I got these scars?
But she didn't.
My father. And we cut to Adam again, Adam of Hull, Steve.
Oh, of Hull?
Of Hull.
Hull?
And I think that's Sea Smoke flying above.
Yeah.
Laenor's old dragon.
Yeah. Beautiful gray dragon.
And he's like, I'd love to ride that.
That'd be so dope.
Too bad I never will.
His dragon rider still lives.
And then
does he?
And then we see a scene of people wandering through Flea Bottom, and all of the rat catchers are hanging from the keep. And all of the mothers and brothers and sons and daughters are very upset about their rat catcher family.
Except the one dude that they put this older guy in a long wig.
Who's that?
Well, they do.
Well, they do. I'm just passing through.
Bites an apple, sucks a suck.
I know. I love it, actually.
As my old house words used to say, play bitch games, get bitch prizes.
But I've been demoted. I've been attainted.
Yeah.
But those were my words.
But we got to see the puppy that got kicked.
We did. We see Doggo. He's very sad about cheese.
Because they got cheese. They got him.
Yep. I love Otto's line. So in the next scene, or not Otto, Aegon's line, Otto's big mad about the rat catchers being hung. And Aegon's in there hanging out with his new buddy Cole. And I love, he's like, and you hung dozens of innocent men and one guilty one. He couldn't figure out which rat catcher did it, so he hung them all.
I call it a win.
And this is where Otto becomes a thesaurus, and Nick calls him every name that he can think of, and they're all big words, and that's why everybody hates Otto. Aegon's like, nerd. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. I wish to spill blood, not ink.
Great line. But Criston Cole has acted.
Oh, I love Rhys Ifan's look when he says Criston Cole's acting. He's like,
oh shit.
And what did the Cole poll do? Everyone
what Cole
knows
toll have we paid now?
Criston Cole's hole, his mouth hole, is only good for one thing, and that's not ideas.
Yeah. And it's time the bitch queen paid the price, is what Aegon says. He tells them about their plan to infiltrate Eric with Eric.
And you conceded to this prank?
Yeah, I love that he calls it a prank because it's like so dumb to him. Like, oh my God. It almost works.
He's cosplaying as his brother.
Yep. And then Viserys, my father is dead and we are the poorer for it. Right. And then he says he was right about you. I love this scene. And he's like, what do you mean? He said I would be a great king. And Otto goes, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Adorable.
You fucking suck. Everybody knows it.
Is that what
Cole knows it?
Cole knows it firsthand.
And he's like, I want your gun and badge, Otto. You're out of here. 20 cars? Are you kidding me? And the look on,
I love the line where he's like, give me the badge. I'll make Cole. And he's like, you wouldn't dare. And he's like, I have dared, and I find it stimulating.
I'm enjoying being a shit. I'm the worst shit in the 7 kingdoms.
Insolent pup.
And the look on Otto's face is one of, we are so fucked.
Yeah.
You know, none of this is going how it's supposed to. And if you do this, it's something we can't come back from. Even though later he tells Alicent, I think we're still good. I think we're good. And he definitely doesn't.
He doesn't, yeah.
Think of all the years that he spent putting this plan in place.
The Legos.
So ardently, so meticulously planning this. He put his daughter in there. Go comfort the king, he's sad. It's been so long, and this kid is coming in and fucking everything up.
Yeah, he's done despicable things to get power.
Yeah.
And if you look at Cole's face, he's just going, oh, it's happening.
I'm going to have to get a new cloak. A little handy pen on it. All the handies I've given are coming to fruition.
2 jobs.
Double the pay.
I want 2 jobs.
And for a hand, I'll have a steel fist. Fist me, Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, my lord.
He said that.
I love the pettiness where Otto goes to leave. He opens the door to like exit, and then Aegon's like, you're dismissed.
Yeah, just so you know.
Just so you know, you're leaving on my orders.
You're not quitting. You were fired. It's going on your permanent
Cole saw
record.
it.
Tell the other guard you were fired. And then we cut to Rhaenyra, who frees Mysaria. And as she's heading down to the dock to head to Essos, she sees Eric with an A,
but wait,
arriving.
Eric with the E was already in the castle. How can he be in 2 places at once?
And she knows because she'd just seen Eric. So she goes, moment.
How do you think the conversation went?
So I
Between her
read
and that
this
dude?
as, and I guess it's obvious, probably being pedantic probably, but she went and warned Eric that that's the reason he was able to intervene and save Rhaenyra, right?
That's how I'm reading it too, yeah.
Interesting. That's a change from the books a little bit.
Yeah, I love when Arik is strolling in, the one guard's like, oh, apologies, sir. I thought you were already inside. It's a sorry lack of vigilance the enemy is about, eh?
He covered it well.
Yeah.
He's immediately let in, and Rhaenyra is going to bed. She's with her handmaid, Alinda. And meanwhile, Eric sees Eric, don't get lost, and notices that he doesn't have his helmet, so he takes that off if he's going to blend in. Correct, my beard keeps scratching the mic. I'm so sorry. And if you're just wondering what that is. And then Arik, Eric with an A, goes up to the Kingsguard, Laurent, and says, I can't sleep. I might as well guard Rhaenyra. And there's nothing better than being able to clock out early. So I totally buy that this guy's like, all right.
Sir Laurent's like, oh boy. Hell yeah.
MILF Manor is on tonight. I didn't think I was going to be able to watch.
Which MILF are the young studs going to pick? I think it's the other way around. I think the MILFs pick the young studs.
I don't know what show you're watching instead of all the ones I tell you to, but I love it for you, Steve.
I just know what it is. I don't watch it.
Sure. Eric is so disappointed.
I'm just not into reality TV.
And nor should you
Nor
be.
should you be. Nor should you be. But I love how, to your point, Sir Lawrence is gone. Like, it's funny because I'm sure a long time passes, but the way it's edited, it seems like Sir Lawrence was gone like 5 minutes.
He took his armor off.
He's
all
already
the way.
got his armor off. Probably had his shoes off. I think there was some Cheeto dust on his shirt when he came in.
He was cooking pizza rolls, like dancing around.
What a
Got
good
a
day
night off.
today.
I remember when I would get to leave I'm not off till 10 and I get home at 7. That is like, those 3 hours are so extra special.
Yeah, they are.
Gosh. You don't even think about how your check's less. You don't care at that point. You're just like, yes. And
time is money.
And Alinda's like, I think a Xanax would be in store for you, my lady. And Rhaenyra's like, totes.
Yeah.
A log.
Get me some.
And you need to sleep well tonight. And that's when Eric busts in. And so Eric, have you news? And he draws his sword and she's like furrows her brow. She's so confused. Like, what do you need a sword for?
Why would you do that here?
Alinda's not dangerous. It's like you're trying to process that. Imagine how weird that would be.
Yeah.
And then
like his clone comes out.
Brother. So confused. And then there's a fight where it's going to be, I cannot wait to see everybody arguing online about how this went down. Because we had to study it. I got to see it twice. Well, thrice, really, once we studied it the third time.
Twice for me.
What we've come to, this is our take on what happens.
The official streaming thing's take.
Eric with an E, the one that defends Rhaenyra, is the one that is killed first. You can tell by the cut that's on his right leg.
Yeah.
And then Eric with an A, the one that serves Aegon, is the one that commits suicide, even though he calls her Your Grace.
Yeah. He's just so overcome with grief that he killed his own brother. And I think in that moment, he realizes that, he's on the wrong side because the side that he swore to sent him off to kill his brother. And how awful of a tragic thing is that?
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra never even considered that for his brother.
No.
And he knows that. And falls on the sword. And it's
And
very
she looks
sad.
so nice and she slays. He's like, I heard rumors of your slay.
I would have loved to have shared a Zanny with you.
My queen. Yes, exactly. Any takes on this, Erica?
No, I loved it all. It was pretty great. It was a little confusing. I wanted to put a little drop of nail polish on the back of one of their armor so I could keep them straight. But no, it was pretty good.
It's cool.
I do like that they kept it. I do like that it's ambiguous because I think a lesser show would make it obvious which one's which.
Yes.
But I do like how they made it confusing as the viewer as well.
I didn't even notice until I was trying to explain to you why it was 100% Eric with an E that died first.
Yeah.
Because of the leg wound. And then when you pointed out, now they both have leg wounds. And I was like, oh wait, no, that's the left leg though. They give you every reason to doubt everything.
Because I originally thought that Eric with an E, who serves Rhaenyra, was the one that lived and then killed himself because he said like, you separated us. But like they both say that to each other at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they both feel like they separated each other.
And in the book, it's said, and again, the people writing about this don't know exactly what happened, but legend has it that he ran into his brother, which is how he was outed in Dragonstone. And
They fought for a night.
There's two different tales that they fought for like 10 hours. Yeah, it's like the song that the singers sing. But then also other people say that it only lasted a second. But they killed each other is the way that it's told, like the way that you thought it went down.
Yeah, I thought they both stabbed each other.
And then they added this like guilty suicide in, which feels real because they said, we were two souls that shared one body is how he felt about his brother. So it would make sense that he's just overcome with grief that he killed him.
Yeah.
And then Otto feels defeated. And he's telling Alicent, I can't stay here. I must return to Old Town. And this is when a book lore nerd bomb gets dropped. I will go to Old Town and talk to your other son who exists, Darren. Which is a character that's missing from season 1 that we've all, it becomes very important in the things that happen soon.
Yeah, he's like maybe one of the most important characters in the story.
On Team Green, yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't, we were actually wondering last season, is he actually going to be in the show? Are they going to like ignore him for some reason? And then the fact that they introduce the mere concept of Daron in this show is just Otto hand waving it like, oh, the other son you totally have that everyone knows about.
Yeah. I mean, what else would they do? I totally get. Everybody's already confused that doesn't read the book about who all these fucking people are. And they've done their best to try to.
Erica raised her hand.
Yeah. I saw a tweet from a dear friend of mine who watches a ton of movies. This is his whole ass job, who said, guys, I spent the first half of the first episode of season 2 trying to remember who everybody was. I think I'm out. And I said skill issue, and we had a good laugh, right? But like it's a whole thing if you're not like obsessed with this stuff to try to figure out what's going on.
There's another tweet I saw where someone said like, you cannot spoil House of the Dragon for me because I do not know anyone's name.
But there's an easy solution to that. You give them a nickname for what their role is.
Oh, what's your nicknames for them?
I have a bunch of nicknames.
Yeah?
But we would have to spend the half of the time bleeping out everything that I'm saying.
Have you ever listened to the show?
Yeah. I'm dying to listen to the show.
I think it'd be fine.
Oh, right. And Andy's usually here.
Yeah.
Oh, I can say whatever I want.
Literally.
Yeah.
The only bleeps that have ever been bleeped is Andy. And you cannot imagine what he must have said.
It's funny 'cause it's true.
And Otto goes on. The younglings are peacocks, all shrieking in feathers. Not like you and I. We're old. And Allison's like, speak for yourself.
Okay, bro.
And it's heartbreaking to me. I know you guys don't feel very much for Alicent, but she says, I have sinned. And she's very upset. And he goes, I do not wish to hear of it.
Don't make me listen to you, Your Grace.
She brings it up twice, right? Isn't that the second time that she said it? Because she mentioned she thinks she's being punished by the gods in the very beginning when the baby is dead.
Yes.
So this is the second time she's tried to
She
confess
really needs
to him.
to get it out.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope. Bottle it down. Tuck it down way deep.
Way deep.
That didn't embitter you.
Instead of like, oh my God, it's so sad. Like, don't make me listen to it, Your Grace, please.
Because Aegon refused to comfort Helena.
Yep.
And now Otto refuses to comfort Alicent.
And then
right in the scene, she goes into the next room. She finds Aegon weeping, needing a mother. That is her son. She stares at him and she's like, don't make me hear it.
Do not wish to hear of it.
And she leaves him there.
Instead of consoling each other, this family just goes and fucks Criston Cole.
Christmas Cole.
Christmas Cole. I'm ready for my present.
Krispy Kreme.
So she goes to her bedroom where Criston Cole is waiting on the bed. She slaps him several times and it becomes rough sex. And I can only imagine that this is the scene that was cut of the super sweaty, messy sex that Olivia Cook was talking about.
Yeah. Just sloppy.
And I get where the director's coming from. Like, hey, we get it. They have sex a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that we need this narratively, but the people need things for other reasons than plot sometimes, guys.
Yeah. As Otto Hightower would say, the people need to see symbols.
Every symbol of legitimacy.
I still think the episode would have been great if like they're doing their sloppy sex scene, it gets to a crescendo and then it cuts to black, but you hear Criston Cole going, ooh yeah.
I still think it would be funny if Helena came in again, like, oh, I just had a question.
She's just in there. She's just
That's the whole reason she's traumatized.
I just want to ask a question. God damn it.
God damn it, Mom.
Again?
I could never, like any time of day, I come in here. You're either bathing. With Laris, I can see him. He's just standing there.
Mikey Day, what are you doing in there?
Get out, Mikey Day.
5 Saturday night. And that's the end of the episode. More coal hole. And now it's time for our Valyrian Steels. And since that was cut, that won't be on mine. Erica, what is your number 3 favorite moment of the episode?
My number 3, I think I have an honorable mention, but my number 3 was probably the interview with the White Worm.
Ooh, I love it.
I loved the back and forth between Rhaenyra and the White Worm. I think that she's very, she has no shits left to give, the White Worm. And so, is it Mysaria? Mysaria. Yeah.
Lady Misery.
Yes. Well, there we go. She has no shits left to give. Like, she's lost everything. Her house is burned down and she's just sick of both of these families who are fighting each other. I love that she said, I was chasing something that a child would want. I wanted to be of consequence, but now I know better. And I just thought that was so good. And like the recognition when Rhaenyra's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And something got her because she chose to let her go. She decided to let her go. So I just thought that was a really cool, powerful scene.
Absolutely. Steve, you're number 3.
My number 3 is also that scene. Because I mean, everything that you just said, but also because it's such a surprising take on that character. Like I wasn't really fully expecting Mazzari to be in the story at this point, to come back. I know she comes back later, but I wasn't expecting her so soon. And then what they're doing with her is so surprising, and I'm liking it. It's adding so many more layers to not only her, but to Rhaenyra. And it adds an interesting little wrinkle to the Eric and Eric fight as well. It's just, I'm really interested in what they're doing, and it's something I didn't anticipate going into the season. So that's why I put it at my number 3.
And she didn't have to let her go. Rhaenyra chose to let her go. And then because she chose to let her go and she had mercy, that's what made her turn back on Auric. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And it's their kinship over having to deal with Daemon.
Yes.
You know, you see that sometimes where it's like a girlfriend and an ex-wife will kind of come together like, he sucks, you know? And that's kind of what's happening now. My number 3 is actually the fight between Eric and Eric. I do think it was so deftly done. And I love the way that they kind of honored what happens in the books and the confusion and left a little bit of ambiguity. I do think you can figure out what happened, but at the same time, there's a playful amount of ambiguity there. And you get to see the confusion of, what's her name? Adina, I think is Eldina is the maid, and then Alinda and Laurent and Rhaenyra all like,
which one is it?
Oh, get him. Or I think, or, you know, and the bit about like sneaking through the castle and almost being caught by his brother and hating what he's doing and all of that stuff. It's so well done. That's my number 3. Erica, you're number 2.
That was actually my honorable mention, the Eric versus Eric. I loved that. My number 2 is the unpinning of Otto for the second fucking time. Loved it. I loved it. And I loved how right he was. And you hate him, but he was right. And this little shit, Aegon, he thinks he's so badass. And he's like, I want to act. Yeah, but you're also making really stupid mistakes. I never thought that I would agree with Otto, but everything that he was saying was correct. And it was just awesome because Aegon's like, nope, you're unpinned. You're not going to be my hand anymore. And Viserys unpinned him too for trying to stir up shit about Rhaenyra. And so I just thought that was amazing. I love to see it because both times he's like, how dare you? But this time he really was.
How dare you?
In the right. 3 questions.
3 questions,
Number
Aegon.
1, how dare you?
Number 2.
Who do you think you are?
Number 3.
What gives you the right? So that was my number 2. Steve?
My number 2 is the Eric versus Eric fight. Again, everything you said before, Kit, it has a playful amount of ambiguity. The fight choreography is pretty well. Like I like how Rhaenyra is so close to getting stabbed so many times, and she's just saved right at the last second. I am a little sad. Not only are we losing 2 great characters in Eric and Eric, but we're also losing one of my favorite games to play on the show, and that is it Eric or is it Eric? And also a moment of silence, please, for losing that game. And I'm Eric. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. What's your number 2 there, Kit Laser?
My number 2, I think, is the funeral at the beginning. I really love the whole way that the episode opens. I really love the whole, by the way, is something that everyone in the High Towers has said at some point.
They're talking about Criston.
Yes. I love the whole opening, the Ramin Djawadi violin, and the whole panic and confusion that's happening in the Red Keep. But the funeral specifically, we let Helena's character breathe some more, and we get to mourn for her, who even Rhaenyra knows is an innocent amongst all of this. And like the prostitute with Aemon says, it is the innocents that suffer most during all of this kind of shit. And I just think it was a beautifully done moment that I didn't expect for us to get, that also moves the plot along significantly. I think it was deftly done. Erica, you're number one.
It's so funny, but my number one was the baby funeral. Yeah.
You love baby funerals.
Oh, I don't.
Famously.
No, that is not true at all.
You're like, get me my tickets.
No.
Front row seats. I can almost reach out and touch that dead baby.
That's not it. That's not it. Cringe. No, I thought it was so manipulative, so gross. Like Otto Hightower, he's like, you're going to go down there. You're going to cry. She's like, I don't want to make a spectacle of myself. He's like, no. The point is to make a spectacle of yourself. And how sickened they were by that, and they did it anyway. And that is just so fucking dark. And then having all those moments where poor Helena, who I adore that character, all those moments where she is like freaking the fuck out. She's having like a near panic attack. And then that moment when the leaves flutter down that they're throwing, and she kind of like spaces out. That was so dark, and it was so, I thought that was really powerful. I did think that baby was going to fall off. Mm-hmm. That would have really creeped me out. I'm really glad they didn't do that. But I loved that. The masterful manipulation of Otto and how they just totally disagreed with it, but they had to do it. They had to do it. And it worked. I mean, people were crying in the streets, men and women alike, and like, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe they did this to you. So that was my favorite, my number one.
Steve, your number one.
My number one moment is Otto popping off on Aegon and Criston Cole.
I know a lot of words.
I love
forbearance.
I love how he uses his ink as his defense. The pen is mightier to Otto Hightower.
The penis mightier.
And so, of course, he would be armed to the gills with a vocabulary much broader than my own. I just really like how...
I've read The Infinite Jest.
I'm really smart. I just love how Otto Hightower, middle finger in the show, this scheming guy that always thinks he's like in charge of everything. He manipulates everybody. You know, he's hoisted by his own petard.
That regret.
And just the way he sort of lashes out at, like, he could be killed by the way he's talking to Aegon. But he's just
I love the way he's talking to you. Yeah. He's a winner.
Well, at one point, Criston Cole's like, "That's mind yourself. That's your king." He's like, "That's my grandson." And I used to kick this kid on the steps when he was drunk at Driftmark because he's a piece of shit. I have contempt for him. And the way that he just like, as he's like popping off on Aegon, this person that he's worked so hard to gift wrap the throne to, he has this realization like, he's nowhere near as good as my friend Viserys. Boy, do I miss him. Wow, was I wrong? And just the way that Rhys Ifans is able to sort of like articulate that in his face and his delivery is just really something to behold. And I just love that scene quite a lot. There's a little bit of catharsis to it as well, because like there's a character that you hate and you're kind of like happy to see him eat crow. And I just love it.
My number one is the scene between Rhaenyra and Daemon, where she confronts him and is kind of reckoning with something she's always known just beneath the surface. Is like, but it's clear that she can't trust him. And so what does she do now, right? Because she has allied herself with him purposefully, and now that might have been her biggest mistake. And you've caused so much harm and didn't even consult with me, and I don't think you ever will, and you don't even see it. And he doesn't. He's like, I'm being awesome. Awesome.
I'm so cool.
I could have had the crown, my weak-ass brother and his weak-ass daughter. I've allowed both of you to crown, and you're just so ungrateful. It's crazy. No, I didn't tell him to kill the kid. I implied it, but there's...
I didn't say it.
I did this for you.
I technically never did that. I am the coolest, noodliest dragon. And as I've said 7 times, I'm about to go to Harrenhal. It's super important for the plot. And we don't have time to get into it right now, but just know that that's where I'm going, Harrenhal.
Yes.
And I just love, he's a great character that doesn't see what a dick he is. And that's on full display here. And the hurt that she experiences trying to explain this to him. And he's just gone down immensely in respect in her eyes. And you can see how much that breaks her heart. It's a wonderful scene that they let go on. You know what I mean?
They did.
Yeah.
In a way that I respect. And in fact, the show repeatedly does that, you know. I think a lesser show that scene would have been half the length.
And I appreciate that it didn't end in a way where like he was abusive towards her, at least physically, because they kind of did that towards the end of the first season. And that was kind of I remember at the time thinking like, that's kind of a weird thing for him to do. But yeah, I like that they didn't do that.
Yeah. But it says enough that she thought he might, you know?
Correct.
And yeah, then she calls him pathetic. And that's the last words that they speak. Could be gone a week or forever. You know, I just think it's a powerful scene. And I think it's the best of this show that they would take the time to do that scene. And that's why it's my number one, which brings us to our dragon eggs. And I don't know that we have much that we can discuss here. I think we're going to save most of it for Westerospection.
Yeah. The only one I kind of mentioned was when the funeral procession starts, you get to see the updated, and we kind of saw this at the end of season 1, but you see the updated heraldry for the Green's Targaryen banners. It's a green flag with a gold dragon on it.
Because they do have to take different sigils throughout this conflict. I think the Team Black has like a quadrant banner, a 4-quadrant banner. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Erica, do you have any eggies?
No. I am not that experienced. I apologize.
Well, we've met Iron Rod before, but I just wanted to clarify he's a bigger part in the books. It's Lord Jasper Wilde, who is the Master of Laws. And it's just funny because Mushroom says that they call him Iron Rod because he has a hard wiener. Yes. And frequently uses it. I think he has like 20-something bastards or something. And that's just funny. Funny little tidbit about old Mushroom, which is a character that's not in the show.
You don't get named Iron Rod for any other reason.
I don't think so.
Right. But I mean, some people probably say like he speaks softly and carries a big stick. And I would say we're saying the same thing.
We're saying the same thing. Which brings us to our Mummer's Dragon, our nomination for Best Performance in episode 2 of season 2. Erica, a lot of options here, I feel like, guys. Who are you going to give it to?
I'm going to give it to Tom Glencarney.
Nice. Plot twist.
I adored his performance. I mean, he has been all over the place. He has been, when he is, granting the people all their wishes and then has to like ungrant them. Like when he's sitting hearing the petitions on the throne and, he's like, look at this. This is great. I'm having a great time. Even though he gets scolded and he has to go back and undo it. And then, in this, like he's raging. And then he's like, no, he's got his best friend now, Criston Cole. And he's got a real nice range. And then he's like sobbing. He's just weeping at the end. So this kid is amazing. He's probably not a kid. He's probably in his 20s.
I think he's like 30.
No, he's not. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks so young.
He's only like a year or two younger than Olivia Cook.
Oh, wow. Really? Yeah. He's doing amazing. I love his very big range.
Yeah, he's amazing. I considered giving my Mummer's Dragon award to him as well because of the range he displayed on this episode, but I have to give it to Rhys Ifans. I mean, just for that monologue of that auto monologue alone, he's always Rhys Ifans is like a steady hand in this show. You can always count on him to give like a really good nuanced performance, but it's not the flashiest performance typically. He's just usually scheming and being kind of surly. But in this, just him being like so mad and then realizing how wrong he was and then trying to save face and like his daughter, I'm looking for help. Danny's like, I gotta go. It's time to hit the old King's Road. I just think he's a phenomenal actor in general, and I'm gonna give him his award for this episode.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to cheat.
You're cheating,
and give it to the twins, Elliot and Luke Tittenser, who play the Cargill twins, Eric and Eric.
I'll allow it.
Because I don't know which one's which.
It's too difficult to say.
And they both did such a good identical job. I almost gave it to Sonoya, who plays Missaria, just because I love like the improvement of her character and where it's going is so phenomenal. I think Rhys Ifans is a great answer. I think that Tom Glenn Carney is a great answer. I almost gave it to Emma Darcy again. I mean, it's an incredible show.
Yeah.
God damn, it's good.
Everyone's firing on all cylinders.
And I said I wasn't going to do this in Game of Thrones coverage on Wednesday. You'll hear it then, but I think I just have to because we'll never get another opportunity to give it to Elliot and Luke, the twins.
Man, you folded on that rule real quick.
I folded quick. I could give it to Emma Darcy happily 8 times this season, but let's sneak them in here.
But those two did a wonderful job as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just the one scene which Arik, which everyone plays Arik, having that scene with Criston Cole alone, where he's like, you're going to go kill, you're going to pretend to be your brother and kill Rhaenyra. Just that scene alone, he crushes that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the battle, they both did so much emotion there and they sold it. It's great. Had to. But now, before we wrap up, we're going to talk about spoilers for people that have read Fire and Blood or savagely do not care. So spoilers abound in our Westerospection segment.
Get out of here.
We want to discuss some things for people that know what's coming or what might be coming because it's an adaptation. We don't know how they're going to do it. And it's interesting. So
this segment is dark and full of spoilers.
That's right. You have been warned. All right. Steve, what do you got?
Well, I mean, we kind of mentioned the ironworker.
Yeah.
That's Hugh the Hammer?
Hugh the Hammer.
I assume.
So in the book, Hugh the Hammer is the son of a blacksmith that is on the side of Rhaenyra or around about. And when they're looking for potential dragon riders to ride the riderless dragons so they can have even more of a, what's the word?
A leg up.
A leg up
advantage
on the competition. Exactly. And they come upon the seeds, they call them. There's all kinds of Targaryen bastards around the towns of Dragonstone that over the centuries, lots of Targaryens have cheated on their wives and sired bastards that might be able to ride dragons. So they eventually have, it's going to be a cool part of the show, but they basically have a contest. Like, everybody, if you can try to ride this dragon, you get to we'll give you like a knighthood, a lordship. You'll be super cool. Yeah. And so a lot of people die trying to ride dragons.
Yeah, because imagine just trying to a dragon in the wild. You're like, let me do something. I'm gonna sneak up behind him. I'm gonna jump on him. Oh shit, that didn't work.
And some of the dragons are like meaner than others, right? Like some of these dragons have never had a rider.
Yeah.
So they're a little surly about it.
That's not my dragon.
Now I know because I'm on fire.
Yeah.
One of them is Adam of Hull. We meet him. That's why it's cool that they show him looking at sea smoke because that becomes his dragon. But also Hugh. And again, in the book, he's described as this like awful person. Just a complete piece of shit that's not worthy of the titles bestowed upon him at all. He just rapes and pillages and I should be king, actually. He's just like the worst kind of person. Yeah. And it looks like they're not going to have him be the son of a blacksmith. They're going to have him be this guy, a blacksmith. And my prediction is that the family that we get to meet is going to die of poverty. And he's going to be so angry at Aegon that he defects. And they've shown him with this like kind of whitish Targaryenish hair. So I think he's a seedling. It's just interesting how they're taking that character because he's super important.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with him. It looks like they're going to make him more interesting than just, I'm evil or I'm a piece of shit, Yeah. And I love the little wrinkles that they add to these characterizations. Yeah. Also, we mentioned a little bit before, but Daeron being formally introduced into the show.
Daeron the Daring, who hangs out a lot with Hugh the Hammer and Ulf the White that are the betrayers.
But we haven't seen Ulf the White yet, right?
We have not, not that I've seen. Yeah. And he rides Tessarion, a bright blue dragon. That should be really cool. So it's just so interesting how they introduced Daeron. And
so this whole time at this point in the show or in the book, Daeron is in Old Town where the High Tower's seat of power is. And he's squiring for, is it Hobart? Or is he squiring for Hobart Hightower?
Yeah, the Lord of Old Town is Hobart, I think. Who doesn't die until the Battle of Tumbleton.
Yeah, they're keeping it in the family. He's gone to Old Town. And by all accounts, Daeron is the cooler of the green kids. Like he's the one where, it wouldn't be that bad if you were king.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's pretty sweet.
He's daring.
Yeah. He's dashing, he's daring.
Courageous and caring.
Yeah.
And one of the last things that we have is we were making all those MILF jokes because famously in the books, Aemond becomes, besotted by this some might say even a witch. Maybe she has kind of magical powers, named Alice Rivers, who lives in Harrenhal.
Harrenhal?
Harrenhal.
The Harrenhal?
The Harrenhal.
I think Daemon's going there.
And so, that's word on the street. And so it looks like they introduced this like aged prostitute to kind of let you know that he has an affinity for older women, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. Interesting tactic. But yeah, that's the things we wanted to discuss that were spoilery to outright spoiler-ish. And I had a stroke there, but I'm back.
I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it. I like when you stroke.
It might be
Chris,
too
die.
spoilery. I can't even say that. But also, I just wanted to say that they're really hinting that Alicent might not be mentally well. Alicent, yes, because she's bathing a lot. She's talking about her sin that she desperately needs to confess.
She's doing a Lady
She
Macbeth.
thinks that
the
they're
Lady Macbeth
cursed.
pool was great.
Yeah, she thinks that they're cursed because of what she's done. And so she's really thinking about this a lot. So I do think they're kind of setting her up a little bit to show that she's not maybe the most well.
Yeah, I'm really curious how they're going to do what the book does, because the book is very against Rhaenyra. And like she has a complete breakdown, doesn't trust anybody, ruins everything. The throne rejects her.
The book goes out of its way to be like, oh, wow, she's fat now. Gross. Like they do some weird things. Yeah.
It does that. But also I think they're set up to have Larys, because he does that in the books, like completely turns King's Landing against Rhaenyra while she's there.
Yeah.
And so I think they've positioned him to be, they've already done that with the kid's funeral. You know what I mean? So they've laid the seeds for that. And just to have this like really tragic turnabout rather than Rhaenyra faltering of her own accord.
Yeah, and they're doing something a little bit with Helena as well, because in the book, after the blood and cheese thing goes down, because in the book, the blood and cheese thing is way worse. So they get her. I think Alicent's also in the room too. Like, so Alicent sees all this goes down as well. But they're like, hey, so she has 3 children in this scene. There's Jaehaerys.
I think we discussed it last week.
Did we? Okay, maybe.
We talked about Maelor.
But there's a thing where like you have to choose which one gets killed, and she picks one and they kill Jaehaerys and not the one she picked. And ever since then, Helena kind of is just wrought with this guilt that like she like her kid's dead, but also like she can't look at Maelor, the younger one.
And she won't even speak. Like she's completely ruined by this.
She's just ruined. Like this poor girl is just ruined for the rest of the series because of what happened to her here. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do with her in the show moving forward, because I think they're doing a good job of saying like she has this guilt and she doesn't quite want to partake in anything with anybody. She just wants to be left alone.
And now it's like this funeral has made it worse. You know, I would imagine is what they're going to do with it.
Yes. Yeah. It's compounded the issue for sure for her.
Not a good time.
No.
For any of these folks. So excited for next week. Tune in next Monday for more coverage of House of the Dragon. That'll be episode 3. This Wednesday is episode 6 of our Game of Thrones coverage for patrons only. This Friday on the main feed will be episode 5 of The Boys season 4. And then patrons will also get our Jaws coverage that won the poll for this month, and then an extra special bonus movie as well. So tune in for that if you are a patron. Thank you so much for all of your support, and for if you're back to listen to our House of the Dragon coverage, welcome back. That's all the time we have for right now. My name is Kit.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Steve.
We've got to go return some videotapes, but this has been Streaming Things, streaming House of the Dragon.
Happy streaming.